Thank you so much for taking, I guess, some time out of what you're getting ready to do.
It's an honor to have me to be in this seat.
It is. It's definitely an honor for you to be here. We are very appreciative. Welcome to the Rap Fest. This is our brand, The Finish Line.
Okay.
It's our Sprinter series where we basically drive around the city and pick up lovely people like yourself. And
Oh, well, I
interview
love
them.
it. I love it.
Thank you,
I
thank
love
you,
it.
thank you. Let's jump right in.
Okay.
So you are a legend. You are the beginning. I almost want to call you the Alpha and Omega, but I can't do that because that's, you know.
Yeah, some titles,
Right,
some
right, right,
titles
right.
I don't feel worthy of
Right.
at that point, but absolutely, but I get what you're saying.
What's happening in Roxanne Shanté's?
Well, let's see what's going on in Roxanne Shante land. Basically, I'm very humble and I'm very blessed. I just signed a deal. Last year I sold a movie in Sundance. They get thousands and thousands of submissions, and they only choose 121 films, and then out of that 121 films, only 13 are sold, and mine happened to be one of the 13 that was sold. So it was a real, surprise for us, because the first thing I would think, like, okay, well, you know what, this is a Roxanne movie, and even though I'm the shit, I was just wondering, like, is everybody else gonna feel what I'm feeling,
Right.
Because I have such a strong background as far as like support system, between my husband, my kids, my family, my sisters. So I came in there like, okay, we're gonna win, and then when you do win, you're like, oh my god, we really won, and so the project is called Roxanne Roxanne. The movie stars Mahershala Ali.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
Isn't that incredible? Now, is that not some black girl magic, baby? Anyway, so. And Nia Long, she plays my mom.
Awesome.
You couldn't ask for a better mom than Nia Long. Like, if Nia Long is your mom, you're fine. And Shante Adams, who happens to be the new breakout artist, she won the award for being the breakout artist of the year for playing Roxanne Shante in the movie Roxanne Roxanne. And then we also have the Juice Crew series that's coming up, because there's a crew that I'm part of, which is called the Juice Crew. This is so way before your time, but we got Big Daddy K, Biz Markie, Cool G Rap, Master Ace, MC Shan, Molly Mall. You're talking about some of hip-hop's greats, and I have been honored to be considered the queen of the Juice Crew, and those are my brothers, and I love them, and we still tour today. So I still tour, I work every weekend, and I'm loving life, and I'm letting life love me. And hip-hop is not just a genre of music for me. It is truly my culture. So what you see in front of you is almost 50 years of hip-hop culture, and and that's what hip-hop would do for you if you treat it right. That's what hip-hop would do for you.
You are the first female MC. Basically, we can, again, call you the originator of some sort. How did it, or even now, till this day, how does it feel to be the first lady of the Juice Crew? That legendary, that brand and what it means to be, and you being the queen.
It's an honor. When I sit back and I look at the success of my brothers and know that when someone interviews them or someone asks them, they say that it is because of me that they are who they are today, it's an honor. I sit back and I could not be more proud of the struggle, or the things that I went through, or some of the things that I've lost, or some of the things that I may have missed out on. But with being able to extend that opportunity, or extend that that love and that support to my brothers, and to see them become who they've become. Recently we were talking about the fact that Nas had did a documentary, and in the documentary he mentioned the fact that if it wasn't for Roxanne Shante, like, there wouldn't be no Nas, because when he was younger I had told him certain things, and one of the things was I was very maternal. So I was real quick to say things that your mom would say if she wanted you to stay in line. That's just how I was, and I happened to be that same way with him. So to hear him say that, it was like surprising to me, because I'm not a person who goes around and says, oh, I did this for this person, I did that for this person, I did that for this person. Because if you do that, then you did never do those things from the heart.
Right.
You did those things,
for the credit,
exactly, or seeking some type of reward.
Yeah.
And no one can pay me my worth, not here on earth. That's never going to happen. So I get my rewards from God. That's going to happen for me.
Yes.
So, but in the meantime, I am still very blessed. So I feel honored to be considered the queen of the Juice Crew. you know, and I'm honored to be a black woman, and I'm honored to be, you know, to possess this melanin magic, and I'm honored to be sitting here across from this beautiful sister doing this wonderful interview. I'm honored to be surrounded by my brothers. Like, a lot of times people don't take time out to be thankful and to be honored by others,
right,
you know, and their presence. And I'm totally honored.
Can you tell me a really quick, just kind of your start? How did you discover your voice?
Well, actually, I started off as a battle rapper, and I started off very young, like at the age of 10. And by the time I was 13 years old, I was already known throughout the city as this great battle rapper, and it had actually became a source of income for my family, you know, because my aunts would find out that there's a battle somewhere, or, you know, someone else would find out that there's a battle somewhere, and they would come and get me and be like, oh, listen, we need to borrow Shanté for the battle. And so that's basically how it started. They named me Roxanne Shante because of the record Roxanne Roxanne, and I did a response record to UTFO's Roxanne Roxanne, but my real name is Shanté.
So let's talk about that diss record real quick. What prompted that response?
Well, I think what it was is the fact of it was not actually planned. You know, most people have the wrong idea about it. Some people, like, you hear all these different stories. You'll hear like, oh, she did it for a radio station, which wasn't true. The main thing was I did it for a pair of Sergio Valente jeans. Molly Mall happened to work at this factory called the Sergio Valente Jean Factory, and I have little sisters. So what I needed was some Sergio Valente jeans. So I actually did my first record for some Sergio Valente jeans. So that's what prompted the response. Now what happened after that was just divine intervention. You know, it just turned into an overnight success, and I don't want to just call it like 15 minutes of fame, because it's still been running now for over 33 years.
Wow.
You know, and not too many artists can say that. Basically what you heard was just a freestyle. So, you know, the whole Roxanne's Revenge was just a 7-minute freestyle that I did during the process of doing the laundry. So it wasn't something that was written, and it wasn't something that was planned. So I didn't have this idea of like, okay, I'm gonna be this great rapper, this is what I'm gonna do. You know, that's not what it was.
And then too, later after you came out with that record and they created or recreated a version of you, how did you feel about that? Like, basically someone trying to mimic you or duplicate you?
Well, honestly, it didn't bother me because I was already a battle rapper. So I was already used to the fact of having to always defend my title, always having to go into these different places. Whenever I would do a show, you know, Baltimore had their own Roxanne, the Bronx had a Roxanne, you know, everybody always had a Roxanne. So I never really got a chance to enjoy being Roxanne Shante because someone was always coming for the title. But that was because at that time, that's what hip-hop was about. Hip-hop was about if you were the best, you had to prove that you were the best, and people were constantly coming to take your title or to take your spot. And because I was such a great battle rapper, I really didn't have a problem with that whatsoever. I think one of the things that did bother me about it was the fact that Select Records and UTFO felt that in order for a girl to be Roxanne, in order for a girl to be someone that people would go after or somebody that people would want, that there was no way in the world that she would be a little bit tomboyish, or she would be brown skinned and she would have all of this wild bushy hair, because I was known for having a very long ponytail. Like, I still have a whole bunch of bushy hair now, but now I just put it in a bun. But, you know, having all of this long bushy ponytail and, you know, having slanted eyes, because see, now it's the end thing. Like, now people are drawing the eyes to make them slanted, and they're buying bushy hair by the pound. But back then it necessarily wasn't. So I think the thing that surprised me, or even more so hurt me, was the fact that they chose to get a lighter skinned Roxanne, because they felt that if she's light skinned, people will believe that this is the real Roxanne, because there's no way that they would want a brown skinned girl. There's no way that they would want somebody who was this aggressive. There's no way that they would want somebody straight out the group home. So there's no way that Roxanne Shante could be the real Roxanne. So we're coming out with the real Roxanne, and they went and got a lighter skinned girl. But then that wasn't even light enough for them. So they got rid of her, and then they went and got a Spanish girl. And said, okay, now she's the real Roxanne. You know, so under all of those circumstances, you know, I think that's what hurt me the most, because my thing was getting out here, going in these parks, going up against the fellas. At that time, there weren't no other female rappers for me to go up against. And so I'm constantly battling with the fellas to make a way for us as women in this, you know, in this genre, in this male-dominated field. And I'm coming in and I'm very good, and very few can handle me. So I'm coming in with that type of aggression, but yet and still they felt like I was, you know, brown-skinned enough to do that and be in the parks. But there was no way that she was going to commercially be popular for them. But again, I mean, the first Roxanne to stand up and the last Roxanne standing. So, So it's some magic in that melanin.
Yes,
it's some magic in that
melanin.
Now, people say, okay, well, I need to find out more about Roxanne Shante. Well, feel free to Google me. A lot of times I say, well, the voice is recognizable. I am one of the most sampled voices across the genre, not just in hip hop, but period.
Right.
With R&B songs, country songs, rock songs, so people will say, well, what does she still do? Like, how does she still make money? What is she doing?
Yeah.
And the fact is, I live very well, and I'm very humble, Like, I still drive a car with a tape deck. And people say, well, and I'm gonna tell you something. That's the best shit in the world. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I have some mixtapes that, baby,
can't be recreated on CD,
and they can't be played on anything.
Right.
No, I need to pop them in, and I need to make sure that I hear that shh, so it gives that whole old school, effect, and I love it.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't change a thing.
One last question, and then we're gonna let you go.
Okay.
The industry still kind of has that complex as far as skin and having a certain pigmentation and things of that sort. But what is your position, just for it to be something that's still ongoing? Like, okay, 2018. When are we gonna get past this?
Honestly, I don't know if we'll ever get past it. Unfortunately, I think it's something that what I do know now is that with the natural hair stance that we're taking now, and the melanin magic that we're taking, and the fact that we're so embracing to each other now, and sisters are loving each other more, and you find more sister groups, and you find more sister organizations, and you find us going back and giving back and caring, that you do see that change with the love that we have for each other. But unfortunately, there's still that little doubt of love we have for ourselves. You see, because you'll find a lot of women who are out there giving to everyone else, but unfortunately they may not have anything left to give to themselves.
True.
So we need to kind of like tackle that, and I don't see that being something that we can just fix in a day, because it wasn't broken in a day. So, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're definitely getting there. With Black Girls Rock, Black Girl Magic, we got a lot going on right now. So this is a great time to be a black woman. You know what I'm saying? It's a beautiful thing to be born a black girl.
Yes, amen again. Amen again.
In the end, one of the circumstances that you find is that if you're not strong enough to handle what the industry throws at you, then it can be an issue, especially for young women.
Right.
And I stress that more than anything else, because now I find that we talked about the fact that them wanting to go get have a lighter skinned girl or a light skinned girl, and those things can be very damaging if you're not already built for it. But see, I was built for it. See, that didn't bother me. I was built for it. My thing was mainly based on talent. So I knew that they were never more talented.
Right.
I knew that they were not better at this than I am.
Right.
So it never bothered me. But what about that young lady who doesn't feel that way? What about that one who does break under that pressure? What about that one who feels that she needs to get plastic surgery? She needs to do these things. I try to instill that in my young women, that it's more so about your talent and what you can bring. But I also am a strong supporter of higher education, because people cannot do things to you that you know better. Like, see, they were able to fool me because there were things I did not know. So you must educate yourself before you come into this business. Throughout my career, I've only made 2 albums in 33 years, where you have some people who make 33 albums in 2 years. There's a big difference, now, regarding hip hop then and hip hop now. And one of the things also is because I went into the industry so early, and I went into the industry at such a young age, people take advantage of that. That's just a known fact. We can sit here and do an entire show on writers and publishing, and how important it is to know the difference between your autograph and your signature. And when there's no one to tell you the difference between your autograph and your signature, you'll sign away certain things that you shouldn't sign away, and then later on in life have to figure out how to recoup those things back. But one of the clauses that happened to be in my contract was the fact that they would pay for my education, which they were willing to do so, mainly because they felt that I was 14 years old. I had already had a baby by the time I was 15. Where is this going to go? What is she going to do? And so they agreed to do that, which allowed me to go back and pursue higher education. So a lot of times when people are now sitting down and they're speaking with Roxanne Shante, the first thing they'll say is, what? We find for you to be an old school artist, you're quite articulate, like as if they don't expect, like as if they expect me to sit across from you and to be like, yes y'all, to the beat y'all. It's like, okay, wait a minute, there's a big difference between that. But also too, with that clause in the contract, they still made it their business to go back and keep constantly refuting that. Like, listen, we can't allow her to continue, but for so far. And I don't mean to take over the interview and take it that way.
This is your show right now.
One of the main factors is we need to get that out, especially to our younger audience. They need to do that. I would tell them, listen, don't worry about all the name brands. Make your name a brand, and the name brands will give you everything.
You answered every question I had. I don't have to ask any more questions.
Usually refer to her the Millie Jackson of rap, with her special guest granddaddy IU. Here's Roxanne Shante.
Louder.
Fuck it up, y'all. Fuck it up, y'all. Fuck it up, y'all. Fuck it up, y'all. It's Brooklyn in the house. It's Queens in the house. Dan, get up and get with this. Shante is here to take care of business. So plug up the mic and stack the dough. Yo, go start the show so the pro can flow. No time to sit around, half step or prolong. I'm so long and strong so nothing can't go wrong.
Be cute and you're trying to be fly. Don't you know you wish you could be my guy so I can take